Joe time.
Our guest. Yeah, big fans of who is joining us now as we welcome to the DLLS Rangers podcast, Joe Nathan. Thanks to Abby for coordinating all of this with you, Joe, and welcome back to Texas for a few minutes. There's Joe Nathan.
Hello, Joe.
How are y'all?
We're good. How are you?
Would you like for us to sing happy birthday for your 50th birthday or sing stand up and shout?
Oh, that's not even a question. Stand up and shout for sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we can't handle that one.
Yeah,
that's a heck of a...
I played it before the show today. But happy birthday. Happy 50th birthday. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us today.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you so much.
What are we doing for number 50, Joe? Any big parties or anything?
Already done. I'm
good.
trying to relax this weekend. We actually went to Key West. We were out there for about 5 days, so that was a lot of fun. Then got home and actually played some golf this week. So this weekend's more on chill mode, hang out with the kids and do some stuff.
Yeah, I turned 50 last week, Joe, and I remember when you signed with the Rangers and I saw your birthday, and I think it was the first time that I was older than every player on the roster. And so, but I only had you by 8 or 9 days. But I distinctly remember that, like, oh man, he and I are like contemporaries. We're both Valentine's Day babies. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, you're 2 years with the Rangers. We were just talking about them a little bit before we got the connection. What are your memories of those 2 years?
Really, really cool 2 years for me. You know, it started before I even signed with the Rangers. You know, I was in the process of trying to figure out where I was going to end up, and had the luxury to go to dinner with one of my idols, Nolan Ryan, and getting a chance to kind of sit down with him and talk to him and kind of see his vision and how his mind works. And it was really a cool experience for me. Go to dinner, hang out with him for a couple hours, and from there I was hooked. That was really the ultimate, like, I want to come to these guys, I want to sign with these guys. And that was before even seeing the roster and what kind of team we were going to be, which was very competitive team and a team that we knew would have a chance to win a lot of ball games and hopefully get to a postseason and see how deep we can go from there. But my experience there, it's such a class organization. They do so well for the players. They take care of everybody in their organization, up and down the rosters, through the staff, front office, everybody. It was just a really cool experience for me, the 2 years. I wish it lasted longer, to be honest.
Yeah, we were looking at those years. 80 saves. You're an all-star both times. Playoffs in 12, probably a disappointing year. 13, you guys just missed. I just remember the last week of that season, you and Sheppers were pitching like every day. You pitched last 4. I think he pitched the last 5. How do you do that?
I remember one week, I think I threw 6.
Uh-oh. Hey, there we go.
A lot of birthday stuff coming out. But I think it was one of those, like, the week, I think I threw 6 of 7. And I remember Mike Maddox coming up and going, "Hey man, how you feeling?" And I said, "Listen, just keep it rolling as long as we need to, because I know I'm not going to feel anything until we actually stop throwing. And when you stop, that's when everything kind of settles in, and then you start to feel sore." So I said, let's just ride this wave as long as we can. And, if we need us, if the games are tight, let's keep it going.
Yeah, no, it was pretty special. And that last week you guys played so well. And then,
in 12, I was going to ask about 12, Joe. Of course, they were in the World Series in 10 and 11, and you're coming in 12, and you're thinking, this is going to be an opportunity to, be with the winner. And, a lot of us, I think Jeff did, I did, I thought that 12 team was even better than the 10 and 11 teams, and it played like it for much of the year.
I agree. And again, it's baseball. I think you see what a team really is about throughout the regular season, and then you get to the postseason and you're just, I don't want to say you're sitting there hoping that you're playing your best baseball, but it's one of those things that's such a short window. You're just hoping you're riding a good wave going into it, because you see so many times like wild card teams just scratch in and then they go out and do an amazing job in the postseason because they had to fight and claw their way, that they're probably playing their best baseball at the right time. So, it's sometimes you're seeing those better teams throughout the season kind of going a little bit flat when they hit the postseason.
I feel like my dad would be mad if I didn't call you Mr. Nathan. But, your career, your wins outweigh your losses so much. I mean, 64 to 34, the game is kind of moving where people aren't looking at the wins as much anymore. What's your takeaway from that stat and what it means for you in your career?
I had a couple of fortunate years as a reliever, especially with the Giants. I think I ended up winning 12 games one year. Really, as a guy coming out of the bullpen, you're just kind of, it's more luck. I think you come into tight games, try to put a 0 up, maybe 2 zeros up. And, it's one of those moments where you're just out there at the right time and your team ends up scoring a run and you get some W's in there, especially being a closer. At home, you're going to be in a lot of tie games. And if you can go out there and throw up a 0, you're going to get a W. So, we as relievers, we try to keep the wins and losses for the starters and try to get holds and saves on our end. So I think the wins and losses just rack up, but it's something we don't really pay attention to a whole lot.
Yeah, like if you pitch the 9th in a tie game at home, which you're going to do, it's like a save. Yep. I mean, it's the only save situation you're going to have. At least you're saving a tie. So if you end up winning that game, it's kind of like you got to save.
Yeah. I was talking to
W's are good. They're good in that sense. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I was talking to my dad just about this interview and everything, and he said, well, we knew 2 things when Joe came out with the lead for his team. The walkout song played, Stand Up and Shout, and then you knew that the game was over. It was almost like, you hear the song and you're like, well, that's a wraps. But, you've been at different positions, either starting or out of the pen. Can you just talk about that mentality shift? Because it is, the way that the game's changing these days, guys are making that move. And, the Rangers are possibly considering moving a starter to the pen and John Gray. So what is that mentality shift actually like?
I learned a ton when I was with San Francisco Giants. I got to play with Tim Worrell, and he was another guy that has done it all. He's a starter, long relief guy, mop-up guy, set up, and then he got to close for us, and that's when I was setting up for him in 2003. And I got to talk to him a ton, whether it's on the plane or in the bullpen, and just listening to the way he talked about it and his mentality. It was as if he didn't change what he did as a starter going into the first inning. You're now just throwing the 9th inning or the 8th inning or whatever it is, and you're trying to get 3 quick outs and get your team back into the dugout, or in the 9th inning into the clubhouse with a W. So, I think the fact that he didn't put too much pressure and make the game bigger than it was, allow the media and allow the TVs and the fans to create that hype, and our walkout songs to create that hype. But mentally, you're going out there, you're getting 3 outs. Keep it that simple. Go out there, get that first out, make it easier for you, and go from there. 2nd out, 3rd out, get off the field and do it again the next day if you can.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to hear even more like that from Joe Nathan, as we've got more coming up from him, and we'll get to some of the questions you have asked. That was kind of the paraphrase of an Ardell question, but more of the questions that you have asked in the chat for Joe Nathan coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. First, though, we've been asked to wear the merch as often as we can. They're fixing to take pictures of us to show it off, so that when we get to those big days, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you'll know what you're buying. And I don't know yet I don't even think Abs does. I don't know yet what the deals are going to be, but I'll tell you this. History proves they're going to be good deals. So,
They are.
yeah.
Can't say much.
Get
the scoop.
Get your opportunity. Take your opportunity when you get it at store.allcitynetwork.com. The merchandise is great. We love the designs. There are about 4 of us in here today wearing this one. This seems to be a very popular shirt among the hosts here on the All City Network.
You and Clarence are matching. You and Pop are matching.
Are we?
Yeah.
I love that. And so I'm with Chill. Clarence Hill's wearing this today. Joseph Hoyt is wearing this today. So anyway, you could wear this tomorrow if you just order it today at store.allcitynetwork.com. It's great merchandise, great products. We encourage you to get it.
And if you like the shirt, then you should become a diehard because you get one every single year. It's pretty incredible that you get one every year because if you do the math, that's like $30 for the actual membership. And with that, you get 20% off of merchandise, 20% off of events. We're hoping to get a spring training trip in the works. We want to bring you guys along with us. It's going to be prime time with the content. I'm so excited and looking forward to that. But join diehards, like we've mentioned, all of these offseason moves that the Rangers are making. It's not going to be like breaking news because we're kind of soft launching it on this show on a daily basis. So you can upgrade your fandom, join the diehards today, and get exclusive content from Jeff, Mark Stein, Clarence Hill, and
Joseph Hoyt,
and some fellas on the Stars crew. So take your fandom to the next level and become a diehard today.
Yep, we encourage you to do that very much. Now then, Joe Nathan is still with us till the end of the program. I remember, Joe, you may not. You had so many experiences like this in your career. Jurickson Profar makes his debut in Cleveland, and he hits a bomb in his first at bat. And and you guys are all trying to do the water over him when I'm interviewing him on the field after the game. And Joe's over there out of Jurickson's view, but in mine doing this. And then it all worked out. They got to dump the water on him. That night we went to Kansas City, and in the bar in KC, Joe and I had a couple of drinks together, and I had to explain to him, this is stretch in TV, Joe. This is wrap it up. Yeah, this is wrap it up. But anyway, It was fun. It's a fond memory for me, and every time I see Jurickson do well, as to this day, I remember that day, and you as well, Joe.
That it actually makes me feel even older because now they're calling him a veteran. And
right.
I remember that time when he's 19 years old coming up, and what a cool moment for him that was. So I mean, I remember that clear as day. That's I'm so glad you brought that up and remember that because it was a pretty cool moment for myself to see the joy in his eyes. And now, like I said, now he's a veteran, so it makes us feel a little bit older, though.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Hey, Joe, Emmanuel Clase was in the Cy Young talk this year, finished third, terrific season. Abby's dad said that closers should not win the Cy Young award. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, and if not, should there be a separate award for closers?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that. I don't think the relievers should win a Cy Young. With that said, I would say if there's a year that there's really no standout starter and a guy has a year like Clase did, why not? But at the same time, I think there should be 2 separate awards. It's really 2 different jobs. Mm-hmm. I'm in agreement with Todd on this one where, there's always going to be a starter that's going to have a year that they deserve to win the Cy Young. And there's always going to be a closer in that same category that should have an award for him. So the year Clase had, it's mind-blowing what he did. So, for him to finish third in Cy Young is incredible. That just shows you what type of year he had in that position. I think people still downplay the position, saying it's only 1 inning. Until you've been out there and try to get 3 outs in that inning, you never can say it's just 3 outs because it's one of the most just challenging positions mentally, physically throughout the year. Every time you're out there, the game's on the line. So there's never, the non-stressful pitches they talk about. That doesn't exist when you're pitching in the ninth inning.
Yeah, and you finished fourth one year in 2004, I think, and fifth in 2006. Did you, during those years and at the end of the year especially, were you thinking you had a chance to win the Cy Young, or was even being that high in the voting a surprise to you? How did that play out?
Never once did I think I was going to win.
Yeah.
No, even with those years, to be honest, I never even thought about it. I never thought about it until somebody said, "Hey, you finished fourth in Cy Young." I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that was a possibility. So, I never thought about being in that consideration. I do think they should have something for the relievers, and I think they do enough. For me, it was cool to get. I wish I can go get it right now, but I have a little Rolaids Relief Award.
Yep. Man
that
trophy.
sits down in my bar, and I think that's one of the coolest things.
Does yours have
received.
a glistening light on it?
No, it doesn't. Mine's tucked away a little bit.
My dad, it's like a shadow box with a glistening specific light for it.
Wow.
But that's very Todd Jones of him. So I was going to follow up with that. You're part of the 300 club, something that not a lot of relief pitchers get to say. 377 is what you finished with. You actually finished with the Texas. You got your 300th with the Texas Rangers, April 8th, 2013. What do you remember about that moment?
Still the best pitch ever. And I
Absolutely.
Listen, very, I remember being out there. I remember the outing, especially now, because it gets brought up to me all the time, they call it one of the, I guess, worst calls ever. I still disagree with that. It's not one of the worst ones. Definitely been worse, but definitely more favorable call for myself. I remember Ben Zobrist was up at the plate. Joe Madden was the manager that came storming. Actually has done very well off of me, and I believe the tying run was in scoring position. And so I threw it. I actually looked down because I threw it, but I thought it was a ball, and looked down to get myself ready for Longoria, who was coming up next, and then looked up and saw AJ running out to shake hands, and I think that's when I dropped a little wow.
Yeah, it was a big wow. It was a big wow. It wasn't a little wow.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you get anything to mark the moment, like a 300 gift?
We do, yeah. We have I got a nice painting of 300. It's actually with my dad. He has that at his place. Obviously have the ball and just a cool moment. It's one of the. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you freeze the pitch, there's a point where it's a strike for a long time. Listen, and it broke really hard.
Yes, I have this argument with people, and they will not believe me. I said, if you go back and actually stop this ball when it crosses the plate, it's pretty borderline.
Yeah.
And then it drops off and it looks terrible. I understand that. But if they had those boxes like they do now and how good they are, not be that bad of a pitch.
No, 100%. And AJ kind of caught it weird. He didn't exactly do you any favors.
He's not known for receiving by any means.
Well, just with the way that the game is going for pitchers now, I guess there's one way that you could talk about Ohtani, being the dual-edged sword and ability to do both, but also just, Major League Baseball is trying to implement, these 6 innings that they want the pitchers to go again. And I don't know if you watch much of the playoffs, but like what the Tigers did with pitching chaos. I mean, just as a relief pitcher, what are your thoughts about the way that the game is heading for pitchers specifically?
Yeah, it's kind of a fine mix between the analytics of the game, and then still being old school. And I think you still got to have that old school feel and kind of gut feelings when they come out. And you can't just always pay attention to the analytics. And, I know they're always going to, the analytics, the numbers are always going to say third time through the order, get the guy out of there. You can see batting averages going up, and it's better to get a new arm in there and keep plugging away, plug the innings away from there. But a couple of things you have, now the more relievers you bring out, the better chance you're going to run into a reliever that just isn't having his best day. And you could lose a game in any one of those innings. But if you got a guy on the mound, and I always bring this up, there was Scott Baker, who pitched with us with the Twins. And, he was a 91, 92, maybe 93 guy. But there was days he was throwing his fastball, and it was just unhittable. He was throwing an invisible fastball. And those days, that guy could throw 15 innings, and nobody's going to touch him. And then there's another day where they're on it, and you got to get him out of there. But the day you got to have a feel that Scott Baker's on right now. Let's leave him in. Just because we're hitting the third time through the order and the numbers say it's time to get him out of there, keep him in there because he's got something special going on.
We want you to like us, subscribe to us, and hang out with us. We do this show every single day. Joe Nathan continuing with us as our guest today. And Joe, I'm wondering, Abby brought up, Ohtani. And I've gotten such varied opinions from other former players about whether or not they think he can do it, right? He can continue. Obviously, he didn't this year because of injury, but can he continue to excel in your mind as a pitcher and an offensive player?
Well, I mean, the numbers are going to say no. There's no chance. I mean, it is such a difficult job. My son is a sophomore in college right now, and he's attempting to do this, and he's attempting to do it at a much smaller scale and playing much fewer games and having to go out there to pitch much fewer times. And it's challenging for him. Now at the big league level, I mean, it's such a difficult task that every ounce of me says no, but then it's Ohtani. And you think about the type of freak this guy is, and he kind of brings it back saying, I think he can do it. And I think he has an opportunity to do this. Now, granted, for how long, we don't know, but, I think he can do this for another 5 or 6 years. And obviously the talent he is, he's going to do well when he does do it.
And you say your son's in college trying it?
He's trying it in college. I mean, yeah. I still said, man, it might be time for you to stay with second base and save your arm.
Yeah. Where does he go to school?
So he goes to a school out here in Tennessee. It's called Carson Newman University. It's a D2 program in the SAC
sure.
Conference.
Great school. I'm a little surprised though that you couldn't talk him into Stony Brook.
We actually went up there for a visit.
Good.
And he checked it out, and he actually loved the school. He loved everything about the university, except for it being in the Northeast. He wanted to be south, and so he stayed down here and liked he loves where he's at right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There was a guy on the Rangers this year. I don't know if you had a chance to see him at all. Walt Pennington. He's another one that made me think of you. He came to the big league baseball from the Colorado School of Mines. And he was the first player from the Colorado School of Mines to make it to the big leagues, as you were the first player from Stony Brook to make it to the big leagues.
Yes. And now we have Jankowski.
That's right. That's right.
Well, yeah. And then dadgummit, the bullpen catcher, the catcher who went to Stony Brook. Pat Cantwell. Pat Cantwell.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's some.
Got
Now,
to
Stony
throw to
Brook is a
him
much bigger
spring training.
program than the car out of school of mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, anybody else? We go with Joe. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, we don't want to take too much of the birthday boy's time.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, so fun to chat with you again.
I mean, it's been so long. It's great to see you guys. You guys look great.
Thank
Abby,
you.
Pleasure.
My dad says
Enjoy
hello.
it. I love your dad. He was always my favorite. When they came to town, we had such good conversations out in the outfield during batting practice.
That's awesome.
He's one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining.
Happy birthday. Thanks for joining us.
You.
And we'll try to do it again sometime. We appreciate you very much. Wow. I knew today was going to be special, and then it turned out really special. That was really fun.
That was fun. You know, he was always a great talker. And you know, there are a lot of questions I could ask him. You know, good save, bad save, the crazy strike after 300. He was always at his locker. Yeah. You know, and I talk about that a lot, about just being accountable. It's not just it's for your teammates. You're doing it for your teammates, you know, but the closer is like a cornerback, you know, who gets burned, or you're kind of on an island. It's
the kicker who misses the
right. It's your deal. The game is in your hands, and he did it so well. I also wanted to ask him about the Hall of Fame. We'll save some questions for him for next time, because you know there are 8 closers in the Hall of Fame. He fell off the ballot after his only year on it. But if you look at his numbers, you know, especially as John, as you were saying, his conversion rate is the best in baseball history. You know, an underrepresented group for sure, and that goes back to our Billy Wagner talk of a few days ago, and when the ballot came out, and I should be getting my ballot in the mail within the next week or two. You know, I think Joe's got a case for a veterans committee, a second look at a veterans committee, especially as the game continues to emphasize the bullpens. You know, the closer is a manufactured job. Yep. You know, baseball created the job, kind of like it created the DH. The DH kind of started before a closer, because you didn't have guys who would close out games, but like a Mike Marshall who would pitch 2 or 3 innings, Raleigh Fingers 2 or 3 innings. I don't know if they weren't specifically called closers at the time. You know,
they were relief
Wilhelm,
pitchers.
You know, for crying out loud.
John Hiller, they were relief pitchers.
Yeah, right. And so, kind of like DH is underrepresented in the Hall of Fame. So is closer, and Joe has a hell of a case, really.
Beautiful.
It is.
Well, he played with Abby's dad on Team USA, right?
Team USA.
And then they, like he said, they saw each other a lot as opponents on other teams. So really cool, and we appreciate Todd's help and Abby's help in getting us a great guest with great Ranger ties for us today.
Sure.
Nice way to close out the week. We appreciate you being here with us all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, we're here at noon. Thursday, we're eating turkey like you are. And Friday, we're back at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Hang out with us all next week. Very special guest on Monday. Mark McLemore joins us in studio. So another fun day
every
on
day
Monday.
here.
Yeah. We're at
times.
Oh yeah. Next week's a week full of parties, and you'll want to be here and be a part of it. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you Monday on another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.